Alright, what is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. This is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let's get started with tonight's talk on Friday Night Smackdown. But before we get started with that, I want you guys to notice a couple of things. First things first, I got a new shirt. This came from my birthday that recently passed on the 29th, and I got this as one of the presents. Some of you saw my recent new shirt that I wore to my Money in the Bank review. Thank you guys so much for joining that. But here, check this out. Check this out. Got a great family giving me great gifts. But before we get started on Friday Night Smackdown, let's talk a little bit about wrestling news. First and foremost, I peeked at AEW, and Christian Cage is one cold-hearted son of a biscuit for what he said towards Matt Hardy, alluding to his brother when he said, "You're starting to make your brother sound like the sober one." That was just foul. I mean, I have never seen such heel work since MJF or JBL. Ish. And in other news, thoughts and prayers to Jeff Hardy. But in other news, Vince is in a whole lot of trouble. From stuff to rape and hush money and Lord Jesus. But either way, let's move forward to the opening of tonight's broadcast of Friday Night Smackdown. We opened up with Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, and there was something very hilarious that happened during this. There was a moment where Michael Cole botched Roman Reigns when he said Roman is the undisputed title holder. He said tighter instead of title. I love when, even though Roman Reigns is a heel, he said something very motivational. He said, "Long as God wakes us up, we can handle anything." Never thought I would hear a heelish wrestler make such an inspiring statement. And then Paul Heyman is concerned. He said he's concerned about Brock Lesnar. But all of us should be concerned about that rat Austin Theory. And I know I should probably be supporting the guy because we're both from Atlanta. However, the guy is just, he's real good at making you dislike him. He's a annoying dork heel, whereas Christian Cage is just, that was just, he is the Michael Jordan of being a ash hole. Yeah, I gotta say ash with an ASH. But either way, Austin Theory played mind games, and then he said something a little bit ignorant to KB in an interview when he said that he doesn't care if they destroy each other in the arena or on top of the roof. Nissan Stadium does not have a roof, dummy. I think that Stunner by Stone Cold knocked your brains out a little bit. But either way, there's no roof, dummy. And there's no way he's going to cash in on the tribal chief. The guy's got a death wish. Moving on, we have the Raiders versus Ginger and Shanky in the first of many SmackDown shorts. Tonight was just full of SmackDown shorts. Anybody want to tell me why that is? But either way, we got the first SmackDown short with the Raiders and fighting Shanky and Jinder, and Shanky should have took things a little more seriously, but he didn't. And the Raiders just wiped them out and won. And the New Day comes out and issue tickets, the kind of tickets you get when you're a naughty kid in school, and that is the ash beating tickets, which technically are not active unless the bell rings, as we learned from the New Day in an exclusive interview behind the scenes. The tickets were not active until the bell rings. And of course, Kofi channeling his inner Willy Wonka from the chocolate factory at the end saying, "Good day, sir." I've never seen the New Day so angrier. But the Raiders, they definitely are about to take the Raiders very seriously for kicking their butts. But their bucks are still here, thick AF. You know what that stands for, that I can't stay. Either way, later on tonight, another SmackDown. Well, we didn't really. Yeah, it was another SmackDown short. Another SmackDown short started with Walter, and on this channel, for those of you who are new, Walter is. They call him. I can't say it. It's a ridiculous name. But formerly known as Walter comes out with his Imperium ally, and his ally was challenged by Shinsuke Nakamura. And let me just say that Corey and Baron Corbin, we all know that Corey sucks up to Baron Corbin because he's Corbin's friend in real life, just like he sucked up to Carmella, even though Carmella is his real life wife. So that's fair. However, he before Carmella, he was sucking up to all the blondes, and Mandy was just. I don't know who's a better woman suck up, Jerry Lawler or Corey Graves before Carmella. Either way, no disrespect because they are married, so you have the right to suck up to your wife. That's somewhat fair, but as long as it's her and no one else. But either way, tonight Corey and Corbin were the SmackDown donkeys of the night. What in the blue SmackDown helicopter was going on? As Shinsuke was coming out, they mocked Pat McAfee, who was attacked at the end of Money in the Bank. And they just mocked him during Shinsuke's entrance. And I could not pay much attention to the match because they were just being silly on commentary. Just ridiculously funny, but I'm laughing at them because those are two SmackDown donkeys of the night. Corbin and Corey, I'm speaking of. Either way, nonetheless, Shinsuke defeats Imperium member with Walter, and Walter ceases to discipline him. Now, I hear, and I will say this very respectfully because it is not my intention to disrespect or attack any cultures, but I hear that in Europe or around the United Kingdom, if I'm wrong, let me know, but I hear they have a thing they call spankings smack bottoms over there. I hear they believe in what is called smack bottoms. But tonight, Walter proves he believes in smack chest. He disciplines his allies by giving them a smack chest. And he's the master of smack chest. Between him and Christopher, who passed in a very tragic event in 2007, who is the best chest slapper? Chris or Walter? That would have been a great match if he had not did what he did in the summer of 07 before Vengeance, Night of Champions. Moving on, we have Liv comes out to celebrate and gets interrupted by Natty Boominatty, as Ronda Rousey calls her, and Natalya comes out and says the exact thing she said to Liv earlier this Monday on Raw, when two tag team champions, two of everyone's favorites, Bianca and Liv, teamed up to take on Natty Boominatty and the woman that Corey loves, Carmella. So either way, let me fix this. Let me make sure this thing is straight. Either way, moving forward, she comes out and runs her mouth a bit. Ronda comes out limping and stuff. And so Rousey challenges Natalya to a match, and it was very one-sided when Ronda goes for Natalya's legs and wins the match via tap out from the angle lock. That she was inspired by Kurt Angle. And anyone want to tell me why is one of Kurt's daughters accepting the slap challenge? That's like me taking the challenge to... I can't even fathom the thought of taking a challenge to... I just can't. But one of the daughters took the slap challenge where she slapped her father, Kurt. I could not imagine. Even if it was for fun, I cannot imagine doing that. I just can't to one of the parents I love. I just can't. But either way, nonetheless, another SmackDown short with Ronda Rousey and Natalya. It seems like Natalya's strongest days were when she went to NXT 2.0. And she would have been a great contender for the NXT Women's Championship, which is being held by Corey's fantasy goddess, Mandy. Moving forward, we had the Maximum Male Models tonight, and I'll tell you what is a captivating treat. A captivating treat, Mr. Dupree, would be if you brought LA Knight back. Seriously, what is it that makes people leave NXT? They have the best characters, and then they go to Raw or SmackDown, and they get a ridiculous change. And if they don't change their names, they underuse them, like they underused Tommaso Ciampa. And I mentioned this, some of you heard me mention this in my review for my favorite matches from Adam Cole. It's a good thing Adam Cole chose to go to AEW instead of going to Raw or SmackDown, because ain't no telling what WWE would have did with the man. The guy is a generational international talent. So, Max Dupree, I'm not feeling this. Just as much as I'm not feeling Butch. But either way, Max Dupree comes out with his Maximum Male Models. What in the Velveteen Dream 2.0 is going on? And why does Mace and Mansoor look like their groin is on steroids? They got stuff in their... Are their underwears made of fanny packs or something? Just, what the heck is going on here? And of course, Lacey Evans was set to team with Aaliyah to take on Shotzi Blackheart and Shayna Baszler. I'm just kidding about the Shotzi Blackheart. She deleted her account, I heard, to Twitter, and I heard that she responded. I don't know if she responded to the accidents that happens, and I'm not beating her down for it. Accidents happen at Money in the Bank. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes. One time I used to call Madcap Moss Magic Mike Moss, but one time I made a mistake of calling him Magic Mice. That was an accident I did earlier this year. That was one of my bloopers. Mistakes happen. We all make mistakes, so I'm not beating Shotzi down for it. But we never got to go there because Lacey Evans made a scene and attacked fans for not appreciating her for telling her story. Now, I kind of got to side with Lacey on this. I mean, she poured her heart out. She gave her testimony about her past. And for a minute, the fans were with it. And then they just got dried of it. And they just had no compassion for it, which I don't really get. Now, if it's false, like Kurt Angle having a son like Jason Jordan, I can get that. Speaking of which, I remember many years ago when Kurt Angle had that cringy Angle storyline with Charmel. And if I didn't know any better, Vince thought that Kurt Angle had a black woman fetish. Which they say once you go black, you can't go back. But either way, then he went on Raw one time and at a pay-per-view, he said, I don't like the black people. But that's not what you said when you were stalking Charmel. And it didn't stop until Charmel kicked the Olympic jewels out of you at Judgment Day. And Kurt sold it so perfectly. You actually felt bad for Charmel because she was crying afterwards after fighting girl power. But either way, it would have been funny if they chose to make a story about Jason Jordan being the illegitimate son and an affair that they had with Kurt Angle and Charmel. That would have been crazy, but that was a very cringy storyline back then in 2005. One that Kurt Angle himself said he was not proud of. Who would be? Playing the role of a stalker. Everybody's going to be looking at you funny. And, of course, we know that every time Kurt Angle stalks a woman, he ends up getting kicked in the groin, which is why he later gave his life to Christ and settled down and became a family man, like Shawn Michaels. Either way, moving forward, let's get down to the Lacey Evans thing. I don't know why fans turned on Lacey, but she decided to do a little bit of heel work, and maybe she's just better as a heel and calling everyone else nasties. Like Kurt was a nasty in 2005. Scripted Kurt, rather. In another SmackDown short, by the way, she knocked out Aaliyah when she tried to talk sense into Lacey and to calm her down. She got knocked out. Either way, in another SmackDown short, we have Usos versus Los Lotharios. That ended quick, and the only thing I'm interested in is who is going to be the special guest referee. Maybe Shawn Michaels. Wait a minute. The last time he refereed at SummerSlam, we had controversy. But either way, just kidding. I like the guy. Maybe Shawn Michaels will be the ref, but someone's going to be the special guest referee in Tennessee. Jerry Lawler. He's from Tennessee. In other news, last but not least, we have Drew McIntyre. What was supposed to be a match with Sheamus, but because we spent so much time during the night stacking up SmackDown short after SmackDown short after SmackDown short, we didn't have enough time to get an epic match, which it would have been between Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Instead, we had Pete Dunne, and yes, on this channel we call him Pete Dunne, versus Drew McIntyre. That ended shortly before the Fridge came in and got DDT'd, and Drew sliced the ropes, and pyro goes off, and that was the end of the show. I don't know what to make of that. I really don't know. But I know one thing. If Drew McIntyre faces Roman Reigns at the Castle in Labor Day weekend, I think Drew's going to get a great ovation. And I think Walter's going to get a great ovation defending the Intercontinental Championship in his home country. What do you think about tonight's match? The ending, I don't know. I really don't know. I've been a WWE fan since I was 7. I don't know what happened. I just don't know what happened with some of the stuff. I still love WWE. I am going to continually support WWE, but I don't know what happened tonight. I don't know. Money in the Bank was interesting. We were just mad at the ending, but as far as tonight goes, glad to see Roman Reigns on TV. At least he shows up most of the time. See what happens next. I'm your host, Dan Cody, and that's all the time I have for you today, and I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. See you soon, folks.